Hello and welcome to this week's news, and today we're going to talk about the recently announced Rage 2. Though it was little more than teases last week, Bethesda's Rage 2 has gone from intriguing to highly compelling thanks to its recent gameplay reveal. With id Software's first-person shooting expertise and Avalanche Studios' open-world design, it appears to be a match made in heaven. id Software studio director Tim Willits actually spoke to German publication GameStar and revealed some rather interesting tidbits about development. When asked why Rage 2 was happening now, Willits said, "We at id and Bethesda have always loved the Rage world and the basic idea of the game. And then there was the opportunity to work with Avalanche, and with it, the opportunity to do what we always wanted to do." Willits also noted that even though Avalanche has the bigger team, it has never been such a develop a game and then show it to us opportunity between us. The game has always been a collaborative project featuring id-like first-person shooter action, and at Avalanche is the open-world expertise. It seems that the games as a service model is being followed in Rage 2, and Willits noted that the studio wanted people playing the game for longer. However, he further noted, "We think we can bring some fun stuff that makes it possible, but we'll talk about it in more detail as we move closer to the release of Rage 2. Of course, if games as a service is a thing, will there be something like, say, loot boxes? Willits stated that there won't be. "We have this novel approach. You buy the game, and then you play it," he said, laughing. Rage 2 is currently slated to release in 2019 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. It features the Walker, the last of the Rangers, battling the Authority and bloodthirsty gangs in a futuristic wasteland. Speaking of futuristic wasteland, Borderlands 3. While people are eagerly awaiting Borderlands 3, which at this point is presumed to be releasing sometime next year, it will apparently not be making its debut at E3, as many have speculated and expected. Though rumors pegged it as being at the Microsoft E3 showcase, which Gearbox categorically denied later, the developer has now come out and stated that the game won't be at E3 at all, according to Shack News. So there are two possibilities. Either Borderlands 3 gets announced a bit before or after E3 with no appearance at the show whatsoever, or the Gearbox representative is misleading people to restore some element of surprise to the game's announcements. As a reminder, Ubisoft and Michel Ancel did this with Beyond Good and Evil 2 last year as well. Whatever it is, we do hope it's revealed soon either way. Just remember that without an official announcement, we're not going to be seeing Borderlands 3 either way at this year's E3. Sony had already confirmed that Death Stranding will be one of the 4 games that they focus on and spotlight at their E3 showcase this year, so any reasonable person was maybe expecting at least a new trailer for the game next month, right? Well, if there was any doubt about that, then there shouldn't be any longer. Hideo Kojima has confirmed that there will be a new trailer for the game come E3 in a new tweet where he talked about how he's working on said trailer. Which is good. We can all hope that this new trailer actually has some gameplay footage this time and won't be just another high-concept, abstract trailer. Although we'd be okay with that as long as there is some gameplay footage shown as well. Death Stranding is currently in development for PS4 with the release for PC planned for later. Lately, for some reason, the rumor that Sony is gearing up for a PS5 launch even less than 5 years since the PS4 came out has been a pretty popular one. Many were expecting it to be revealed at this year's E3 in less than a month. However, Sony's chairman of Worldwide Studios, Sean Layden, has confirmed that this will not be the case. Layden confirmed during a conversation in the latest episode of the PlayStation Blogcast that there will be no hardware announcements at Sony's E3 conference this year, and that the focus instead will be on 4 of Sony Worldwide Studios' biggest upcoming games: The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding. E3 this year will feature exclusive looks and deep dives on 4 upcoming titles, Layden said. 4 of our big titles. We have great content, we have fantastic updates, and I think everyone will be thrilled to see it. And we're taking kind of a different angle on how we're bringing it out. He went on to confirm that Sony will be giving a big update on Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima before teasing that people will be blown away by what they show of Spider-Man. He also spoke briefly of Death Stranding, and it's interesting that the game is being counted as one of Sony Worldwide Studios' games, before moving on to discuss The Last of Us Part 2. "We'll have a full new scope and treatment on that to show progress with the game," he said, "and give people a better understanding of where we're going with Part 2. We're really excited about it. It's going to be a very strong centerpiece to all of those 4 titles we were just talking about." What's interesting is that there's no mention of Days Gone, which is also a major Sony Worldwide Studios game slated for 2019. Sure, it's getting a lot of coverage this month thanks to Game Informer, but so did Spider-Man last month, and that's launching just a couple of months after E3. But there you have it. No PS5 announcement just yet. Honestly, we're pretty happy about it given that the PS4 is still fairly young and we don't really expect the PS5 to launch before 2020, but Sony might be saving an announcement for PlayStation Experience later this year. Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely seems to be the most ambitious and detailed game Rockstar have ever made, which is saying a lot by the way, and that's become very apparent since new details on the game have started emerging over the last few days. We now have information on several other things in the game, from its NPC interactions, to the way the game handles player agency, to indoor environments in the game, and this information is definitely very encouraging. Rockstar co-president Rob Nelson said in an interview with Jiu2, being immersed in a credible world with a captivating story capable of engaging the player while giving them the freedom to lose themselves, then returning to the main quest in a natural way is something important for us, and that was our main goal for Red Dead Redemption 2. To erase the boundaries between all these aspects, to make it coherent and organic. Everything must appear natural, without any transition or lag, to reinforce the sense of immersion and connection between each mission. This led Nelson to speak about what looks like one of the most impressive things in the game, which is dynamic interactions with NPCs and how these can lead to emergent gameplay moments. For example, in the camp, a simple conversation with an NPC can result in a bank robbery, Nelson said, or reveal important details about the story, background, and thus trigger a new mission that the player may want to do right away or later. Simply leaving the camp to search for supplies may allow the player to discover other interesting activities or other goals. Everything is done to reinforce the feeling of embodying the character Arthur, an outlaw who is part of a famous gang, not to mention that everything must remain as entertaining as possible. The gang needs money to do this, so you'll have to carry out missions as diverse as various to rob banks, intercept trains, steal from people, hunt, but also resell, he continued, then delving deeper into the aspect of player choice and agency in the game. There are 1001 ways to make money, even outside missions, in an honorable way, and less respectable too, to let the player do what he wants. You can kill people to steal their money, but you can also threaten them and extract their currency less violently. To leave the choice to the player is very important for us. It is not a Manichean system, it's not good against evil, everything is nuanced. Of course we play Arthur and he has his own character, but you're given the opportunity to shape his way of behaving a bit. The balance between player choice and having a more handcrafted and guided experience, in fact, is something that's apparent in the open world gameplay itself. For instance, you can't change the environment too much based on your actions in the game, something that other recent open world games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and Far Cry 5 have actively encouraged. For instance, IGN asked Nelson in an interview if, for example, players would be able to set fires to entire forests and structures, to which Nelson said it would be nice, but no, because it's not practical. You could burn structures down, but a forest fire would change the map in such a way that it would change the feeling of the world and the things that are in there. In fact, Rockstar even played around with the idea of procedurally generated optional missions for companion characters, but decided against it because they felt it would be contrary to the kind of handcrafted, open-world experience they're trying to build. We played around with those ideas of procedural companion missions, Nelson told IGN. We did have that in there, and we found that we could not get the level of connectedness and sophistication that we wanted for those sorts of experiences. I suppose you could do it, but the way that we make these worlds is to basically handcraft them, and so that would be some sort of procedural thing that would happen, and the content there, it's just not practical, for it to feel consistent with what we're trying to achieve with the world. One other thing that Nelson spoke of was the indoor environments in the game. If there is one thing Rockstar's open-world games have always been criticized for, is that in spite of being huge and incredibly detailed, they're completely lacking in any indoor environments, or the ones that do exist are lacking in any real detail. That, however, seemingly won't be the case with Red Dead Redemption 2. For Red Dead Redemption 2, we tried to go further in the interiors. Nelson said in the aforementioned interview with Jiu2, you can go into a house, open the drawers, take the jewelry in the drawers, small things and even smaller things, so that the world is the deepest and most credible possible. From big coffers to small pockets in people's jackets, you can steal everything, without ever knowing what you're going to fall on. We've tried to create a consistent world in which it is possible to jump and hold onto a train running at full speed, enter the cars, find a bag, open it, and take what's inside, come out the train without being spotted. All this will be possible. Given that it's E3 season, it wouldn't be strange for a couple of games to be delayed. So of course, the highly anticipated next entry in the Metro series, Metro Exodus, which was initially set to be released at some point this year, has faced a delay. In THQ Nordic's financial report for the last fiscal year, they revealed that the game is now set to be released in the first quarter of 2019. An explanation has also been provided for the delay. However, it's not all bad news, as we'll soon get to see more of it at E3. As is usually the case, the reasons cited are a need to polish up the game as it will be the most ambitious Metro game to date, and it's also been confirmed that some brand new gameplay from a never-before-seen game environment will be showcased at E3 next month. There's a lot to be excited about for Metro Exodus, and it may be worth waiting for if we receive a better game as a result. However, this isn't the only news as far as delays go. YesNet's Shenmue 3 is the latest release to skip the second half of 2018 for releasing next year. On Deep Silver's site, the developer stated the reason as being additional time required for polish. The extra time will be used to polish the quality of the game even further to the high standards it deserves and release the product in the best possible time frame. Announced to enormous fanfare at E3 2015 during Sony's presser, Shenmue 3 would receive a Kickstarter campaign that closed at over $6 million. The overall process garnered some confusion since Sony was confirmed to provide publishing support, and though slated to arrive this year after skipping last year's E3, it seems we may not see Shenmue 3 at this year's Expo either. On a more positive note, Shenmue 1 and 2 will be updated and released for PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2018. The ports will include Japanese and English voice tracks and modern controls. Shenmue 3 is currently in development for PS4 and PC. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.